Good morning, good afternoon. This tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create the table and chair. So let me go to View, Image Plane, Import Image Plane, and the image plane that I'm going to use as a reference is this kind of beach house, and I'll scale this image up, put it above the axis line, and I think the first thing I want to tackle is going to be the leg of this particular object. It's like a revolve, and it's flat. So let me take my move tool. I'll hold D if I can find it. Let's go to my perspective. I'll push this back like so. I'll hold D, and I can't see the manipulator tool. So what I'm trying to do is rotate this image plane so that that chair, the table leg, is vertical. So now it allows me to use my Create Polygon tool. So I go to Create Polygon tool, EP Curve tool, option box. It's set to 3 cubic, which is what I like. Click here. I'll hold Shift to create a straight line. And then I'm going to create quite a few control vertex points around the curve part. And what happens if you don't create a lot of control vertex points around that curve part is that your EP curve will start to do some really weird things. And don't worry, we can always change this shape after we create it, because it looks as though it tapers or it gets smaller at the edge, at the bottom. So you can see I'm adding a few points here. Curve that. And then we'll curve it there. Press return. Alright, so I'm going to put this image plane on a layer. So I go to Layers, Create Layer from Selected. I'll rename this to Beach Room. Save this, and I'll hide it. So this is my curve. I'm going to go to Modify, Center Pivot, and I'll right mouse click and hold. Go to Control Vertex, and I'm going to select a few of these vertices and start to move them to the left. Deselect a few other vertices and I move it to the left. And what we're trying to do is get this thing to slowly taper towards the bottom. So object mode, here we go. Now what I'm going to do is hold D, move this guy to the left, and then we'll go to Surfaces, Revolve option box, make sure it's a polygon. Under the output geometry, quads, general, U-type, and the V-type should be the same per span number of isoparms. And I'll increase the U and the number V to value of 2, and then click revolve. There we go. Now, you just need to go to Modify, Center Pivot, Mesh Display Reverse, and voila. Okay, so that's one of the legs. If I press R, I could scale it flat. I think it looks something like that from our image. Alright, yeah, it doesn't look perfectly round. Well, actually, it does now that I look at that particular leg. So, I just press Z to undo. Okay, so let's go to my top view. I'll press F to frame in. I'll hold X to snap this to the grid, and I'll press Control D, hold X, move this here, I'll hold Shift, press Control D, I'll hold X, and I'll move it right there. Okay, and let's go ahead and where is my image? I think I might have actually deleted it by accident. And let's bring that back. Okay, so that's the leg here. I'll select those two legs and I'll move them to the right. Just try to get it to be the exact same. And move this back. What else do we need? We need another tiny like a support here. So what that looks like to me is very simple. You know what, I'll just create a Polygon Cylinder. So I'll go Polygon Cylinder. I'll hold Shift to create the perfect width. I'll right mouse click and hold, go to face, and I'll delete those faces here. Right mouse click and hold, go to object mode. I'll press E. I'll hold J and I'll rotate it like that. Okay, now I'm going to scale it down just a little bit. Okay, go to Mesh Display, our Mesh Tools, insert Edge Loop, and we'll add an Edge Loop. Let's go to the option box, so Mesh Tools, insert Edge Loop option box. I'll reset the tool, and I'll add an Edge Loop here and here. I go to face mode, select these faces. I'll press Control E and move this up like that. I'll scale it down. And then we'll take this edge, so I'll double click, hold Shift, double click this edge, press R, and scale it out like that. So when I press 3, you can see it kind of has that little indentation there. But I need to add another edge loop here, so let's go back to Mesh Tools, insert Edge Loop, and I'll add an edge loop right here and one right there. Perfect. Go to my perspective view, slide this over, press F, and I'm always looking at my reference image. Looks like it is right here. Press R to scale it down a little more. And then I'll select the vertices on this object, move them over, just like those, move them over, object mode, okay, like this, press Control D, move this over here, press F, and there we go. Now if we really want this thing to snap to the grid and be perfect, I'll just hold X, and then there we go. Same thing here, probably need to select the legs, hold X, snap into the grid, select this guy, hold X, snap into the grid. Okay. Alright, so almost there. I'll press Control D to duplicate this guy, press E, and then hold J to snap it like that. Take this image plane and just move it back that way, this. Hold X to snap it to the grid, and we're going to select these vertices, press R, scale them out wide like that, and go to Control Vertex, press R, scale them out wide. The reason why I'm not scaling the whole thing in object mode is because you'll notice that will start to stretch. From this reference image, it looks like there are 1, 2, maybe 4 of these little knots. I don't know how else to call them. So let's go to the insert edge loop. We can always move these around. So I'll select these guys, Control E, scale it this way, and then press G, which is repeat previous command, which is the extrude. I'll scale it up like that, and I'll scale it down. And then I'll that maybe 2 more times. Press Y. Let's go to the insert edge loop. Here, here, there, and there. Face. Select these guys. Select these guys. Control E. And we'll do that. Press G. And we'll move it up. And then we'll scale it down. Alright, so now what we can do is just select, looks like these guys are a little bit thinner. So try to align this. Press 4. And we'll move that a little bit wider. Press 5. Alright, so it's like those vertices here. Go to my front view. And I'm using the grid as a reference, so I'm going to skip maybe 2. And then I'll skip 2 more grid, so 1 grid, 2 grid. And then same thing here. And now I'll highlight all of them. And I'll do that. Perfect. So now when we select this object, we press 3, and there we go. Select that object, press 3. Select this object, press 3. Alright. Now we're just going to create the width of this desk. So it's like the background image, and rotate it and scale it down so it matches the legs of this image. So try to keep the proportions right, exact. And we'll go to create polygon cube, and I'll put here, I'll drag to the right, press spacebar, go to my perspective view, and then drag it that way. Alright. Now I'll hold X to snap it to the grid like that. Move it over, press R to scale it this way. Okay. So, press W, and I'm just going to look at this image real quick. Looks like it has dresser drawers on here. 1, 2, 3. So I'll use the insert edge loop tool. So let's go to mesh tools, insert edge loop option box. And I'll use 3 under the multiple edge loops. And we'll do that. And now I will select that face, oops, undo. Let's go back to the insert edge loop tool and change the use equal multiplier to a value of 2. Close this, put that there, and so now I'll select this face, this face, this face, and we'll press Control E, change the offset. And what I really want to do is turn off the keep faces together. So now when we change the offset, that's what we get. Okay. So now I'll go to vertex mode. I'll select those vertices, and I'll press R, scale them in. So I'm going to select everything, scale it in, about right here. So what I'm trying to do is get this edge here to align with that one. So now I can select those vertices, hold shift, those vertices, press R and scale it a little bit wider. Okay. And we'll go to face. I'll select those same faces we had before. And actually, we're going to select the bottom faces first, and then the top faces. Alright. Alright, Control E, change the offset, like that. And I'll press Control E again, and we'll move that down. And there we go. See, we're getting like the top part of that object. And then we can select the edges all the way around. Here, here, and simply bevel. Okay. And I'll also select these guys as well. Like that. And I probably want to select. No, just. Yeah, let's do that. I'll press. Let me undo that one there. If I go to Edit Mesh, Bevel, then we get this really nice beveled edge. Oops. And then we'll change the segments to 4. Alright, now I want to select this face, that face, that face, and we want to press R and scale it up like that. Now I'm going to press Control E to extrude, bring these guys out like that. And then we'll go to Edge. I'll double click on this edge, select Shift, and selecting the corner of the cabinet, these drawers. Alright, now we'll go to Edit Mesh, Bevel again, increase the segments to value of 4. There you go. See? Now, handles on here. I think the handles are something that you could probably find online to recreate. I really don't know what those handles look like. I think I also need to extrude another piece of geometry. So I'm going to right mouse click, go to face, and it's like this face, and that one. And what I'm going to do now is go to Edit, Mesh, Duplicate. I'll move these guys out. Oops. I want that bottom face there. So just that one here. If I can select it. So face. Press 4. Press 5. And then select that face. We'll go to Edit Mesh, Duplicate. And move these guys out like that. Object mode. And I'll select both of these faces here that we just duplicated. I'll go to front view and I'll press Control 1 to isolate them. Now with these two objects, I'll go to Mesh Combine. I'll go to Vertex mode and select these guys here. Press R and scale them up so that they're like a perfect square. Now we have both of these guys selected. We'll press, let's go to press Control E, move this forward, go to Object mode, and then W, and let's move these guys back right about there. See, and then let's go to the wireframe on shaded. We can also bevel these edges, Edit Mesh, Bevel, and press W, move it forward, and that's what we get. But I don't like the geometry to be intersected, so I'll press Control 1. I'll select these faces on the back side there, press Control 1 again, and then move this forward. Let's go here. this guy, move it forward. There we go. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Again, the dresser handles I'll create in another tutorial. I'm going to select all of these guys here. Control G to put it into a group. Modify center pivot and move it down. Like that. Go to my front view. Press Control 1 so I can see everything again. And maybe we just take the legs and move them in. Let's select this guy too. Move this over here. Select this guy. Move him over to the left. Hold. Select all of these. Move them up. And I'm going to highlight everything. Go to Edit, Delete by Type History. Control G. Modify Center Pivot. And I'll rename it to Dresser. Right, now the center pivot is kind of off. It's because we still have this curve in here. So let me delete the curve. Highlight everything again. Press up arrow. Modify center pivot. There we go. And I think the easiest way to move this around is by holding D and put it at the bottom. So now if I need to scale this, I can scale it all universally. Like that. And I'll just rename it to, what is that, like a study table. And like I said in the next tutorial, actually, let's just do it now. Let's create the door handles, or the handles for the dresser. I'll go to Create, Curve Tool, EP Curve. And I'm looking at this from the top. And I want to do a revolve, so let's do something that looks like this. Press Return. Modify Center Pivot. I'll go to the Control Vertex, move that down, over. Take these guys, move them over. Let's go to Object Mode. I'll hold D, move this guy over here. And I'm going to revolve it in the Z axis, so surfaces, revolve, Z, and I'll change that to 1. Revolve, there we go. Let's go to the Modify Center Pivot. Let's move this guy up, press F. And let's select the edges here, Control E, and let's move it down like that. Now let's take these inside edges, Control E, press W, I'll move it up, over, I'll rotate it, I'll press G, press W, I'll move it over, I'll press R, I'll hold J and snap it flat. Now I'm going to press W, I'll hold D and V and snap this guy right there. I'll press Control D and I'm going to change the scale X to -1. Hold Shift. Mesh Combine, Edit Mesh, Merge. So now when we press 3, there we go. So like this guy, go to my front view. I'll move this here. Control D, move this guy over here. Control D, move this over here. And since I already put this entire object into a group, I'm going to go to my Windows, Outliner, and you can see in the Outliner, you have the study table, and then we have our 3 revolved objects, so let's highlight all 3. middle mouse drag and drop in the study table, and there we go. Alright, so now we could scale this thing down and it looks really nice. So that's how we create your study table.